Good afternoon, everyone. And if you're here in Anguilla, happy Hero and Heroines Holiday. Thank you for joining me on this third live. And today we are in District 4. This district is my third place of residence, firstly in the villages of Ray Hill and then Long Ground. On each of these lives, I seek to first show and highlight some of our gifts in each district. Secondly, to share information about the Avenella for Anguilla platform and to speak to any national issue which may be current at the time. More specifically, in regards to our location today, we are in the middle of governmental establishments. Directly behind me is the building that houses our courthouses and our House of Assembly. It is indeed a house with a lot of heavy responsibility. It is named after one of our local heroes. It is named the Atlin Noraldo Harrigan OBE Parliamentary Building. We reflect today on the sacrifices made not only by him and all who fought and sucked salt for what we are currently enjoying today as Anguillians and all who live on this beautiful island. In this vicinity, there is lots of history, some of which I'll point out, but especially for the sake of the younger generation and newcomers to our island who may not be aware. This over here is a relatively new police station. Before, the police station was located in a building that's directly to the west, but this building now houses our Royal Anguilla Police Headquarters. The building that did so previously now houses, which we cannot see from here, but it now houses our sports department and our Chamber of Commerce. The courthouse, which again is now located behind me, was resident in the building directly west of me, which now houses the Department of Statistics. On the opposite side of the road of the Department of Statistics, from Dites upwards to Radio Anguilla, that building used to be confidently called the Secretariat, as almost everything governmental seemed to be in that building. Not many persons use that name today, but for our history, it's good to know these things. For those of you who may not know, the little tiny green building that's located just east of Social Security and just west of Natural Resources, that was our sole prison. I believe it has in less than 15 cells, but now it is used for our female inmates. Now, given that today is our Hero and Heroines Day, I want to give honor to two institutions that I consider to be Anguillian heroes. These institutions, in my opinion, built Anguilla. They are CCB and NBA. These two companies facilitated the economic growth in our island for over at least 4 decades and helped to propel our local homeowners and businesses to succeed. Sadly, it seems as if we have thrown out the baby with the bathwater and we have failed to remember and to honor them. Our gratitude, out of our gratitude, a way should be made to ensure that our children and future generations hear about them and see their names written somewhere, especially where they were originally located. We would be ungrateful, Anguilla and Anguillians, if we let their memories die. NBA and CCB built Anguilla. I believe they are two of our greatest heroes and heroines. And speaking of building, our country continues to be built by governments that do not have a country vision or mission. No end destination in mind. Just dream today and build it tomorrow. Seems to be the modus operandi. And we, the people, I believe we are aiding and abetting it because we do not demand different from governments. Last week, the Honorable Premier shared the APM's dream for our country, and our country remains visionless. The Premier, from an accounting standpoint, rightfully indicated that a 1 day's worth of government's funds, as was the case in 2020, was a very negative and illiquid place to be in financially. But the Premier boasted of having 332 days of government funding in 2024, when from an accounting standpoint, such a highly liquid state reflects negative possibilities also. There is a lack of placing these funds into planned, specific, and special reserve accounts. This sort of nationalistic planning needs to be made known to our country. It also encourages having such a high liquidity, also encourages greater unplanned national risk and high risk taking, which often leads to further trapping its citizens into higher taxes later if the economy declines. The Premier's calling of 332 days of funding financially positive. Some financial analysts, most, would argue that it could be a sign of being unwise for not having specific plans attached to specific monies in a long-term vision, not a year-by-year dream. This excess of money under our beds practically points to several things, including 1, GST was not necessary. As much of this revenue came from .ai. GST could have been 4 times less than it is now, because we have 4 times more the daily savings than we actually do need. Revenue from .ai and other tax alternatives can sustain us. That's the third point. The 90 days required by governments, or even $180 days of funds to set aside in fixed assets, would be applicable, would be fair and fine. So, today I want to point out to you what a wise wisdom plan would be. Because the remaining 150 days of planning, of investing for our country, could be wisely placed in specific saving and building reserves if we were to not have 332 days, but 90 days, or 180 days if you want to double it. But having 332 days, financial analysts, financial accountants would say, that might not be as positive as you think, as it reflects on how one would be investing the funds and the liquidity that it has. So, saving and building. So from the outskirts of the seat of our government, I want to share once more with you the Avenella for Anguilla wisdom plan for the influxes of money from the .ai domain name. Using 20% plus of that AI revenue, which Vince Gates says is at modest projections will be $6 million per month as of April 2025. And we heard from the Premier that .ai even exceeded its expected revenue this year alone. That would be about $72 million a year. And so I propose saving at least 20% of that over the next 7 years. But I do believe that as .ai revenue hits its targets for doubling every 2 years and even surpassing it, we can increase that saving to 50%. The revenue could be at least $144 million minimum by the end of 2030 each year. During this first initial 7-year period of saving, with the extensive promotion of good health, we would stabilize through disciplined saving, building reserves, managing and paying off so we can be debt-free, all debts and all interests, excellent stewardship, and we would be called for planning, heavy planning during this first initial 7 years. During this time frame, intensive strategic planning is what we'll call it, would incur in areas of living healthy in terms of revenue diversification, fishing sustainability, agri-technology, small businesses booming. We would want to realize human capacity building, realizing food security, taking on the initiative for innovative and green infrastructure in massive transformative ways. All that planning would go on in the initial first 7 years. Auditing for ineffectiveness and inefficiencies in the service for the purpose of optimization would also be necessary. Plans would be made by committees, the public engaged, feasibility studies carried out, the process monitored and adjusted, but all of it made transparent. Nearing completion of the 7 years of saving, a full, complete, total project roadmap would be presented to the nation. And that would be our plan for the government, the institution of our government for the next 7 years after that. It would be 7 years of a disciplined approach to national living, as us as the people would have to buy into this robust mindset. This unity would be remarkable and unprecedented, and like us in Anguilla, beyond extraordinary. We can work together to do this. In the second 7 years, God's willing, we would roll out the transformation of infrastructure, economic diversification, and empowerment, slowly at first, starting with small business assistance, initial investments in energy transition, improving quality of health, preparatory training, etc. Then scale and expand and reinvest into larger infrastructural energy projects, tourism, technological, and housing boosts. Meanwhile, garnering and managing gains, monitoring projects execution, and we would re-examine our strategic framework for the future after that final 7 years of significantly transforming our island. Our government calls for vision and mission from all its departments, yet it has none for the country. Our governments call for citizens to submit very detailed plans to build houses and structures, yet it submits none to citizens for building our nation. I propose that we have a vision and a mission to go along with our motto. Then governments would have to align their agendas and their dreams with such and campaign it to us, the people. We then would vote according to those that we believe in. A vision to be a tranquil nation and a mission to live by truth and right are those my platform submits to you, Anguilla, for the rest of the century and beyond. But for the next 7 years, by the wisdom of God and with the example set by Joseph in the Bible when he saved the whole known world from starvation, and by the example set by Steve Jobs in growing Apple into the first trillion-dollar company, I say, let's follow their lead. Let's follow their example and save and build this next 7 years. Let us plan properly and thoroughly out of the money as it flows in, out of the influx of money as it flows in, and then engage in massive building in the next 7 years after that. It's a wise plan with national vision. And I repeat that. It is a wise plan with national vision, not individual party dreams. I thank you for joining me in District 3 today. In District 4 today. My current home is District 3, which will be our next stop. I'm Avenella Griffith, and I'm loving Anguilla. Your vote in the next upcoming elections would be a vote for cherishing, preserving, and advancing Anguillianness. Thank you and good evening.